So I have videoed a little chemical reaction. I did a little kitchen chemistry from quarantine, and it's a pretty neat little phenomena, you know, what happens. So I think it would be neat for you guys to look at that, and then we can kind of talk about, you know, what the heck is going on in this chemical reaction. And that's kind of going to set you guys up for doing the assignment this week. So what I want you to look for as you're watching this is I want you to look for things that are changing. And if you will, in the chat box, if you will just, as soon as you see, oh, that was interesting, you know, I saw this interesting little piece, make it some kind of observation about what you see happening. Your only obligation as we watch this video is to just type something in the chat box. So here is the video. So in this unit, we're going to be learning about the types of chemical reactions. And this first video that I made kind of has a twofold purpose. It's going to kind of help you start looking for signs that chemical changes are occurring. And we call those indicators. And it's also going to introduce you to one kind of reaction. It's called a single displacement or a single replacement reaction. So there is what I'm reacting. I'm going to be reacting zinc, which is a mossy looking kind of metal, grayish silver, and HCl, which is hydrochloric acid.
Hi, Miss Cinnable here from quarantine, bringing you a little kitchen chemistry. This is a chemical reaction between zinc metal, which looks like this, solid silvery gray kind of metal, very hard, and hydrochloric acid, HCl, which looks like this. This is a pretty concentrated, 6 molar is the concentration of this acid, so it's clear. Something pretty cool is going to happen. So for starters, I'm going to take my test tube and I'm just going to add the zinc to it. And we always put in our reactant before we add our acid. You always add the acid to the reactant. So let's put in this acid. I'll put about 5 squirts in there. And what do you see? And what do you hear? Anytime we're making observations, we're looking for signs that a chemical reaction is actually taking place. So what do you see, what do you hear, and what do you feel? Of course, you can't feel it, but I can feel it for you and tell you. So I'm going to put my hand on here, and I can tell you it feels warm. But you guys can see what you feel, or what you see and what you hear. Alrighty, so you are going to make some observations about this phenomenon. Pretty neat stuff. Let's look at what it looks like after about an hour. Maybe you can't see it, but a little black flecks in there. Not really warm anymore. And here's one that I did earlier this morning. So this is after about 3 hours. And this is, see, the color has changed here. Bubbles. And here's one that I did last night. There's nothing left. Nothing at all.
Alrighty, so if you guys will go to the chat box and give me a good observation of something that you saw. Good, Samuel was giving off gas in the form of bubbles. That's excellent. Yes, Amanda, there was bubbling. What else? Good, Emma, it was bubbling. Good, good. You guys noticed the bubbles. So that's actually one of the signs of a chemical reaction taking place. If you're mixing a solid and a liquid and all of a sudden you got something that's a gas, you know, that kind of tells you that, yes, these atoms are rearranging and they're forming new compounds, and those compounds are going to have different physical and chemical properties. What else did you guys notice? Yeah, Abraham, it was heating up. I mean, anytime you're doing a chemical reaction and it's producing heat on its own, so everything was at room temperature to start with, and then all of a sudden it's starting to get warm, and that's called an exothermic reaction. The reactants are forming products that don't need as much energy in the chemical bonds, and so the reactants will actually give that excess energy out to the environment. So far you guys have, it gave off gas in the form of bubbles, and then it was heating up. Did you see anything else? Yes, Christian said color change. That's a good observation. What color did it start out with, Christian? That gray metal zinc is kind of a silvery gray color, and that's a form of zinc called mossy zinc because it looks like moss, and it's definitely gray. And then over time, as the acid was kind of working on it, and the zinc was replacing the hydrogen in the acid, you saw that zinc kind of had a color change over time. What color did it sort of become? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a muddier brown, kind of black. It sort of broke off into little flecks for sure. The funny thing about that is that after I let it sit overnight, the zinc was completely gone. All that was left was a clear liquid. Whatever the hydrogen gas had kind of bubbled away. So after you watch, or you're going to pull up this document, and there's a video link on each of the reactions, and they're very short. I didn't make a ton. And then it gives you the chemical equation for the reaction. And then you guys have to fill in these two boxes. So box A is, what are the indicators that a chemical change has occurred? So you're looking for 4 possible indicators, and it says them right here: energy change, production of a gas, formation of a precipitate, and color changes. Those are your 4 possible answers, and you need to put all that apply. So the first one is actually here. The number 2 is the one I just did with you guys that we discussed. And so here you're going to put really good observations that you guys just made, those 3 indicators. So you're going to put formation of a gas or production of a gas, energy change, and color change. You would fill in those 3 terms there. And then I already told you what type it is. It's a single replacement because the zinc is replacing the hydrogen. That's a single replacement reaction. So that's what your assignment is going to be for the week. I've made you a fishbowl presentation on indicators of chemical change that will teach you the 4 indicators. I made you a link to a Bozeman video that talks about the energy changes, exothermic and endothermic. And then Melissa Maribel has these great videos on the types of chemical reactions, and so she'll teach you the 6 types. And then you have to complete that haiku assignment that I just showed you. You guys are doing a good job of getting all this stuff in. All right, if you guys don't have any more questions, that's all I had to go over with you today. Thank you so much. Class dismissed. Bye.